Hey guys, welcome to Whisktakers. My name is Liou. Today, we'll be welcoming the return of the Guild Battle King, Vampire Cookie, to this new era of Guild Battle. With the Odyssey Chapter 3 update, we now see the addition of Magic Labs and Magic Candies given to Yam, Espresso, and Vampire Cookie. Today, we'll dive deeper into how Magic Candies affect the current Guild Battle meta, and how to run the best results with the new team. Magic Candies act as buffs for the cookies it's applied to. In the case of Vamp, one of the key features of it is that it applies a bleed debuff alongside his normal skill, with each level increasing the damage of the debuff. At level 10, it gets a bonus effect, which revives Vamp once he's dead, while also giving him invulnerability for a short period of time, allowing him to cast his skill upon revival. This bonus effect is key to his return to the Guild Battle team, giving him a good chunk of bonus damage done. In this video, we will cover key strats to utilizing the level 10 bonus revival effect. However, if you have a lower level candy, you may still follow this strat and slowly build towards it yourself. With that said, we'll move on to covering the team build. For this team, we'll be using DC, Affogato, Eclair, Cotton, and Vamp. In this strat, Cotton can be replaced with Liou for more damage, but it is a riskier strat that requires a higher build of damage resist on the team, so we won't be covering that in this guide. For DC, you can do any build you want. The only stats you really need to hit is around 8% cooldown and no more than 3% attack speed. You want these two stats tweaked enough that it feels comfortable and consistent for you to hit the minions during DC's second cast. More on this later. For Affogato, he doesn't necessarily need much, but having some cooldown will benefit him, since it will allow for a bigger window of poison ticks on DC and Slingshot's effects. His main build will be full attack with some crit % substats whenever possible. You also want to have around 5 to 10% damage resist if your Affo is dying due to damage reflect. For Eclair, we'll be sticking to our original build of full attack with crit % substats, as well as around 4 to 5% cooldown to line up nicely during his second cast. You also want at least 15% damage resist on Eclair to make sure that he doesn't die to damage reflect as well. On Cotton, we'll be using the same build of full cooldown and a minimum of 24% cooldown. If you aren't able to hit that mark, having attack speed to supplement it will be helpful. Finally, we'll be doing full attack on Vamp with crit % substats, with the key stats of cooldown and attack speed. His cooldown should be around 5%, and we want to give him a range of 3 to 10% attack speed. This balancing act is going to be crucial to getting the most damage out of this strat, so we will cover this in another segment later as well. Damage numbers will greatly differ depending on the following metrics: Gnome Lab upgrades, Cookie Ascensions, Magic Candy level, Guild level buffs, Guild relic buffs, Cookie bonds, and treasures. Please take into account of all these numbers and buffs before comparing your own numbers with mine in the video, as that will usually explain a big part of the damage discrepancy. As usual, treasures will be the same and you will need a maxed out jelly watch for this. With all that set up, let's now take a look at how a proper run should look like.
시연과 들이키시다. 목마르다고. 불을 밝힐게요. 끝이다. 불을 밝힐게요. 목마르다고.
We'll now examine how we can replicate the steps of this strat with a bit of a more detailed breakdown. First, turn off auto. This may not seem like much, but having auto on during the first part may be the case of your DC dying later on, so it's best to turn it off first. Next, cast Cotton when Eclair's timer reaches this hairline. You want to be specific here, and the less cooldown you have, the tighter the timing will be. After casting Cotton, you can turn auto back on and queue up Eclair. After the boss text, cast Affo and Eclair both at the same time. Queue up Cotton immediately after. Then you want to cast DC right as Affo reaches this pillar right here. Make sure you cast DC when Affo is lined up perfectly like this, and try not to do it too early or too late. You may mess around with the specific timing based on the topping stats that you have. Then cast Vamp at 6 o'clock. After Cotton has casted, queue Eclair up. Watch for these two circles, because once it blinks the second time, it's time to cast DC. After that, cast Affo. Let Cotton auto cast, then cast Vamp. Once Vamp dies to the meteors, let him revive and do his thing. And that's the run. In this strat, there are several things you really need to look out for. If you don't have Vamp's candy at level 10, obviously there will be a huge chunk of damage missing as you have yet to unlock the revive effect. That aside, let's first focus on what could go wrong in a run. The first part is DC survival. There's always been a history of DC being unable to knock out minions, or dying way too early even in past strats. This is largely due to attack speed and other combination of timing factors. So far, these include having auto turn on prior to cast, DC first cast being too late or too early, or having too much attack speed. We want to check off every reason we've listed so far and make sure DC doesn't have too much attack speed, as it may affect the timing of your second cast and his overall survivability. The second thing to look out for is Vamp's attack speed. The reason for giving him a higher amount of attack speed is so that he can finish his skill animation faster, and during his revival bite, he'll be able to do damage while all the debuffs applied on the dragon is still there, maximizing the damage output. Without sufficient attack speed, he might miss out on all of the debuff stacks and only do half of his normal damage. During his first cast, you want to make sure you're not casting him too early as well, because if he has a higher attack speed, there's a chance he will miss out on one or two of the defense down stacks from DC and Slingshot, resulting in a lower amount of damage. You also want to avoid a later cast, because if he doesn't have enough cooldown to cover for that late cast, he won't die quick enough. In essence, die to the meteors, and make it for the third bite where he gets all of the debuffs still on the dragon. This is all a very tough balancing act, which means you will have to figure out what's a good breakpoint to suit your own playstyle. At the end of the day, our video merely serves as a foundational guide for you to continue building upon. One last thing that may help you with your runs is playing on 30 frames per second and having skill effects turned on. I personally don't have skill effects turned on because it messes up my rhythm, but many of our guild members have it on and it helps time their cast more efficiently. In this strat, the survival Liou Whisk isn't as important, since Vamp will be reviving and being the last to die anyway, so there's no need to attempt to keep it alive just to allow the bleed and poison ticks to last longer. With all of this in mind, let's go through everything in summary one last time. Turn off auto, then cast Cotton right at Eclair's hairline. Turn auto back on, then queue up Eclair. After boss text, cast Affo and Eclair both at the same time, then queue up Cotton. As Affo reaches the pillar, cast DC. At 6 o'clock Slingshot, cast Vamp. After Cotton has casted, queue Eclair up. As circles start to blink the second time, cast DC. Affo after his cooldown is up, then Vamp. Make sure Vamp is dying to the meters, and just let the Magic Candy do its thing. For most endgame players, your damage range should be within 20 to 30 mil. For other players, it should still net you a pretty hefty amount of damage increase compared to previous strats, even with just level 1 candy. So, that was how to do the triple Vamp strat. We really hope this video has helped you figure out the basics of the strat, and can continue to grow from there. If you enjoyed this type of strategic and competitive gameplay, feel free to join our Discord server, where we often discuss and offer advice on this type of playstyle. You may even get early access to info on certain meta strats while they are being workshopped and discussed. Leave a like, subscribe, and share this video to a fellow guild member who may need it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you around.
그대의 계략은 수준 좀 없군요.
Oh my fucking god! Oh no! I've been running Affogato with 4 toppings this whole time! What the fuck? Where the fuck did the topping go? Oh my god, hold on, oh my, no! I recorded